Naming herself the modern Alice in Wonderland, Yayoi Kusama is an artist of many dimensions. Applicable to her studies in an amplitude of ways, Kusama utilizes art as therapy, advocates through the platform, and features themes of psychological distress, feminism, and sexuality throughout her works. A true creator of paintings, film, poetry, sculptures, photography, and installation, Kusama reigns as one of today's most influential females within the contemporary art scene. Yayoi Kusama, however, is more than just an artist. She is a survivor of both abuse and mental illness, as a very trying childhood prefaced Kusama's fame. Born in 1929, Yayoi Kusama entered a broken family, becoming the daughter of an abusive mother and an adulterous father. In fact, Kusama's mother would send her to spy on her father's extramarital affairs, making her an eyewitness to the toxicity of her parents' loveless marriage. Later in life, this would lead to an instilled confusion about sexuality. As Kusama quoted, "The sexual obsession and fear of sex sit side by side in me." Kusama began to experience hallucinations, flashes of lights, dots, and patterns at the age of 10. The first recorded use of her trademark polka dot obsession also occurred at age 10, as Kusama drew a Japanese woman in a kimono, covering the entirety of her body in dots. This fixation stays present throughout the artist's work. At age 13, Kusama was sent to work in a military factory sewing parachutes. World War II memories plagued her childhood, as she claimed her adolescence to be consumed with darkness, air raid alerts, and planes overhead. Later, these war memories went on to inspire Kusama's passion for advocacy. In 1948, Yayoi began to study a traditional form of Japanese art called Nihonga at Kyoto Municipal School of Arts and Crafts. However, she quickly became bored, claiming Japan to be too small, too servile, too feudalistic, and too scornful of women. Inspired by America's abstract impressionism, Kusama moved to the U.S., first residing in Seattle, where she exhibited in the Zoe Dusson Gallery. After a year, Kusama ventured to New York City and quickly gained importance within the avant-garde scene. In the early 1960s, Kusama started her trend of covering normal household objects in white phallic-shaped fabric, highlighting her tensions with sexuality as a whole. This trend utilizes repetition, a theme we find common among Yayoi Kusama. One of her first works in this series, Accumulation No. 1, features an armchair completely covered with enormous phallic-shaped protrusions. This artwork incorporates humor, as Yayoi reveals personal anxiety, making light of the subject. At the same time, Kusama defies oppression by taking ownership of the symbol and presenting it in her own controlled way. Another famous artwork from this series, titled Sex Obsession, Food Obsession, Macaroni Infinity Nets, and Kusama, features Yayoi Kusama herself sprawled naked, covered in polka dots, on top of a protrusion-filled couch, surrounded by macaroni pieces. Intrigued by this image, due to its relativity to this past semester's content, our group decided to dive deeper into the truth behind such an odd picture. Unanimously, we admired Kusama's use of seemingly basic and simplistic elements to create a complex image filled with a variety of meanings. Through her use of phallic-shaped food protrusions in her own body, the artist is able to open important dialogues surrounding sexuality, feminism, and mental health. From first glance, viewers are drawn to the apex of the painting where Kusama placed her exposed vulnerable self. Her face, mostly obscured by dark hair, allows the art to take on an entity outside of just her. Kusama, though she incorporated herself in the work, is rather a symbol of femininity and sexualization of all women. Contrasting with the light background, her body is displayed so forcefully that it cannot be ignored, despite the comfort it may cause. This artistic choice, especially in the 60s, was done to challenge the patriarchal notions of women's sexuality. Kusama recognized women had their natural sexuality oppressed within society, and yet were simultaneously objectified by their male counterparts. Kusama felt women were passive prisoners to men, food, and home.